Hey, seventh grade, want to go through a quick video to show you some examples that'll help you with your assignment today. The first 5 problems on your assignment have pictures of graphs, and it is your job to determine if it is proportional or not, and you want to be able to explain why. So a graph is proportional if it goes through the origin, which is 0, 0, and is a straight line. So if your assignment had a problem like number 1, we can see that this is a straight line and it goes through the origin. So I would say yes, this is proportional because the graph goes through the origin and it is a straight line. Number 2, we can tell that this is a straight line, but we notice that it does not go through the middle. So that means this is not proportional. So on my assignment for number 2, I would say this is not proportional because it does not go through the origin. And that is all you have to do to prove that it is not proportional. The third one should be pretty easy to tell. Again, even though this graph goes through the origin, it is not in a straight line, so it is not proportional. So the language will be written as this is not proportional because there is no straight line. And those are 3 examples of how to solve those problems. Moving on, writing equations. These questions can be a little bit tricky just because there are 2 main options for each question. You and a classmate might have 2 different answers, but both be correct. First step we need to do is figure out the constant of proportionality, and that formula is still k equals y divided by x. And eventually, that will turn into the form of y equals k times x, which is an equation that we should be familiar with. So what we need to do is figure out what makes most sense in your brain to be y and what makes sense to be x. So for this first step, I'm going to choose the $18 to be y and the 3 burgers to be x. So I'm going to say k equals 18 over 3. So my dollars is the y value and the burgers is the x value. And that gives me a value of 6. So my equation can look like d equals 6b. And I have to then state, and I'm going to type it, that d equals dollars and b equals burgers. And you can choose whichever variables you like as long as you can label which letter or which word stands for each letter. Other people might look at this problem, and I'm going to erase these equations so we have more room. They might look at this and realize that they want the burgers to be the y value. So they might put that k equals 3 over 18, and that would simplify to k equaling 1/6. That's perfectly fine also, except now their equation is going to be B equals 1/6 of D. And again, they have to state what each variable stands for. We're sticking with B equals burgers and D equals dollars. Either of these answers would be fine as long as your equation matches up with your constant of proportionality. One more example. Here we have 8 laps in 2 minutes. So for those of you who are choosing laps to be the y value, you would have k equaling 8/2, and that would equal 4. And you would probably have the equation of L equals 4m. And we would say that L equals laps and m equals minutes. And if you look at this equation, if you multiply the number of minutes by 4, then you should find the number of laps. And your other option, for those of you who are focusing on minutes as y, you would say k equals 2 divided by 8, which simplifies to 1/4. And your equation would be, well, the number of minutes it takes equals 1/4 times the number of laps. So if someone ran 12 laps, multiply that by 1/4 and figure out that it takes 3 minutes. So regardless of what your equation is, you need to verify what your variables stand for. So m equals minutes and L equals laps. So either of those options would be fine as long as your equation matches up with your constant of proportionality. Hope this was helpful.